How did you feel when you were a patient yourself and you were lying there, your hands were now with your fellow colleagues?
I was a clinical chemo pharmacist at the time, and all I knew was how to help my patients was to give them chemotherapy. Sometimes when you go through a life journey like that, while you're in it, you don't see it until later on when you look back. Sometimes, you leverage on those ideas and pay it forward. I believe when you're on the right path, just things show up for you. People show up for you and support you in a way that, I never would have imagined.
I had the gentleman that I had on my podcast. I said, what's the most important thing that you need to do? He said, learn how to say no. When you say no, you open up doors to say yes. Do you think people check in enough on themselves? And do you think people are in touch with themselves enough?
No. Just like anything, if you don't have the pain or the pain points, you're not going to go look for an answer. Hi, Simon.
Hi, Dr. Hanan.
How are you?
Nice
Good.
to meet you.
Long time.
Thank you for coming to my office.
Yes, it's beautiful. Nice weather.
Let's go for a walk.
Yeah,
let's talk.
do it.
So, what's on your mind lately?
Oh, I have so many projects on my plate, and I tend to do that a lot, which I shouldn't.
Yeah.
And but growth and scaling is part of the process, right? If you're not growing, you're dying. So I'd rather be growing.
Okay. So what projects are on your plate currently?
Oh, wow. So I have Healology, which has been my passion always, which is the art and science of biohacking into vitality. Okay. And it's something I created, from a long time. And my story, right? I've been there, done that with the, self, trying to get over my, conditions. I had endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and being a healthcare professional is always in the back of my mind, like, why is this happening if we're in such a time and era where, there's a lot of research and a lot of medicine and best doctors I was working with actually at the time in New York City. Yeah. And I was actually on something called the P&T committee, which is the Pharmaceutics and Therapeutics Committee. And we're a group of doctors and healthcare professionals that come together and we give advice for how to diagnose, how to treat conditions. And when I was on the floor, the cancer floor, and the nurse that I know that makes the rounds with me saw me in the bed and she was shocked and she literally said, Dr. Hanan, I never thought I'd see you on this side of the bed. Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. So I went on to, go on this really life-saving journey, if you will, to try to understand the root cause, the missing piece of the puzzle, if you will. So not only was it to help my patients, but at that time, it was actually to help myself and be able not to go through, hysterectomy, which I would have to be on a hormone replacement therapy for the rest of my life, go into early menopause and things you don't want to go down the road with this kind of post-surgery. So Healology now, it's grown so fast, so big. And now I went from doing one-to-ones and counseling, clients and patients, and it just took a life on its own. So I had to now certify practitioners to help me. And we have now 25 practitioners all over the globe implementing this process, this lateral process in a linear way. And what I mean by that is lateral meaning cutting edge, out of the box techniques that we use and tools in a systematic way, step by step, in order to transform the health and well-being of our clients.
That's a major milestone. Congratulations with that. And before we talk more about that, how did you feel when you were a patient yourself and you were lying there, basically, your hands were now with your fellow colleagues?
Yeah, it was an eye-opening. It was the change, really, the shift in my life. from being, this adamant chemo doctor, if you will, because I was a clinical chemo pharmacist at the time. And all I knew was how to help my patients was to give them chemotherapy and follow, the diagnosis, prognosis, medicine, therapy, that system. Until, sometimes when you go through a life journey like that, while you're in it, you don't see it until later on when you look back.
Yeah.
And you see, okay, I had to have gone through this in order to get those intangible ideas and systems that you can't find in any books, you can't find in a university, you can't find in a bachelor's, master's, PhD, what I went through. So sometimes, you leverage on those ideas and pay it forward and help others with your learnings from this journey.
I find that very interesting, and you mentioned something as well, which I just want to take a little bit of a side jump to. You did your PhD in St. John's University in New York.
New York, yeah.
Very prestigious,
Yeah.
University, and that's very not many people manage to do their PhD there. How was that experience for you coming from abroad? Because I believe you are
Egyptian.
Egyptian, and you've lived before the States somewhere else. And how was that to come to the US and just do your PhD there?
Well, actually, I grew up in the US.
Okay.
So my parents migrated when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
So I actually did my grammar school, high school, and my bachelor's. But my master's, actually, I did it at Rutgers University, which was in New Jersey. But then I went back and I did my PhD at St. John's University. So it was quite easy. I was actually at the time, I'm not going to tell my age.
18, right?
Right. Going on 20.
Already accomplished so much so early in life.
And at that time, they were actually trying out the 4-year program for pharmacists. You have to have a certain GPA and a certain, recommendations from your professor. So I actually did my PhD with my bachelor's PharmD, that is in 5 years. Now it's a regular thing, but I was the first group of pharmacists to actually be part of this launch of having a PharmD in 5 years.
I think I see a trend here that you are in the batch of the first people.
Of everything, yes.
Because you founded this, or you are part of this new method of looking at health from different angles, and you were in one of the first batch of the people that pointed out, say, hey, can we look at this problem from a different angle?
Right.
And then while doing that, you of course you are part of this learning curve.
Right.
That you need to educate people.
Yes.
About a new view that you have. How is that to, first of all, to find out that there might be a different view on an existing problem, and to educate people and to find out that you need to do that people are not aware of this problem in the way that you see it.
Right. So actually, I didn't really promote anything, because seeing is believing. So people who knew me and saw me, how I looked before and after. So I was 40 kgs heavier than I am.
Okay.
I had acne that I didn't even have when I was, a teenager, but here I am at this age, older, acne-free, right? Yeah. And, I got rid of my endometriosis, PCOS. I was able to lose the weight in 6 months. Mm-hmm. And so people were always asking, so what did you do? You look so different. You look better. You look healthier.
You look younger.
You look younger, yes. And I started telling people, and they started, oh, okay, this is interesting. You should write about it, and people should know about it. So, of course, I said, okay. So I was fortunate to call up my friend, Mustafa Hamawi. He's now the CEO of Passionpreneur. I asked him, look, I want to write a book. He's like, okay, let's do it. I wrote my book, Second Chances, about my story, about the system, what I did, and it went great. And then people said, "Well, you should speak." So I joined Andy Harrington's Speakers Academy, learned all the the tricks of speaking, public speaking. I became an international speaker, an award-winning author, traveled all over the place, got many awards. And I believe when you're on the right path, just things show up for you. People show up for you and support you in a way that, I never would have imagined. So doors started opening for me really, really fast. And yeah, today I'm really very passionate and very fortunate and honored and privileged to have actually come to this level. And it's not about, being an influencer or followers or anything like that. It's about getting your message out there and helping others and making an impact in the world. Yeah, and leaving a legacy.
Yes, and I think you're definitely on the right path and have already accomplished so much. And I think, do you feel that there's still more out there that you're not done yet?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a very action-oriented person. So if I'm not doing something, I feel very, very, I don't know, bored or, because my kids
restless.
Restless, yeah. So people say, "Oh my God, you've accomplished so much in such a, short time. When is enough enough?" And I was like, well, whenever I see, an opportunity that I could help someone in a more impactful, advanced, modern way, then of course I'll do it. And that's what led me to actually opening Tackle and Talk, an online platform for mental health and well-being.
Yes, I want to talk about that more later. Before we jump into that, how are you now feeling about that curve where you have educated people and over the years you have seen that people are catching on?
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Oh my God, that's something I was talking about years ago."
Yes, yeah. Because a lot of people, when you say the word healing or recovery or prevention
or alternative,
they think it's not scientific.
Yeah.
It's not evidence-based. It's not as good as conventional. And I'm starting to get away from that word healing, because people look at healing as a woo-woo.
Yeah.
Either energy healing, NLP, hypnotherapy, any of those techniques, which are great, by the way. They work and in their own way, but these are not the tools that we use in Healology.
Yeah.
We use more neuroscience. It's based on a research called epigenetics. Mm-hmm. That is the godfather of epigenetics is Dr. Bruce Lipton. Lots of research from Dr. Dean Ornish. So everything that I'm a scientist at the end of the day. So if it's not scientific and evidence-based and I cannot measure it, then I wouldn't be able to be involved in it to begin with.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And also that you said that a lot of your treatments and your view are on experience-based.
Right.
But when you use certain words like healing, and other people have used them in different ways, then people are biased in the end.
Right.
They see something, they're like, this is probably like this is not for me.
Right, because it's something cutting edge and modern and advanced. They try to, in order to understand it, they try to refer it to being like something they know, right? They're familiar with,
No, I remember I told you in 2017 approximately, this is years ago, that I had an eczema problem myself.
Yes.
You said, you said it could be based on different things.
In your environment.
Yeah, environment. Yeah. And after you told me that and I addressed those things, I did have a drastic decrease of eczema.
Right.
And I've gone to top dermatologists.
Yeah, I know you were telling me you're taking steroids, pills, creams,
some
everything.
of them,
nothing was working.
Yeah, it was nothing working. Some of them even claim to have worked with Hollywood celebrities.
Yeah.
But they did not help me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Right.
And I think also a lot of people, for example, that have burnouts. I don't think the approach is right to just say it's work related. It's definitely surrounding related as well. And there's a lot of problems out there where people don't take that holistic view.
Yeah.
And that really opened my eye. I'm like, hey, hold on. If everybody's looking like this at the problem,
right.
When are we going to look like circle at a circle?
Right. Yeah, your testimonial, by the way, is part of my PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, yes.
I'm like, look, check out Simon. He's on LinkedIn. He's an amazing financial advisor.
Thank you.
He's real, I swear. He's a testimonial. He's a real You know how sometimes you have people who put just fake testimonials?
Yes,
I like, it's a real deal. Just go. And it's funny.
Real, okay?
It's real. And holistic, because look, at the end of the day, you have to treat the human body holistically.
Yeah.
Because look, we don't walk around with our brain on one hand and our, mind on the other hand, or our emotion or our heart. It's all one unit, right?
Yeah.
And we have to treat it as such. Yeah. Because that's the problem that I found with conventional medicine, is because we're just focused on the organ and the symptoms and trying to force it to do or become normal to the normal functionality without addressing the root cause, which always happens in the mind first. That's why I have a research that's called the mind-brain-organ connection. We start with the mind, where the root cause is, where the emotions are. That's giving the marching orders to the brain to release the chemicals to that part of the body or the organ. Without that, it's an innate resource. It's an innate built system. So might as well work it with it instead of work against it, in order to have it do what we want it to do. And that's why in each of it's called the 6 R's in Healology. In each of the, 2 R's are related to the mind, 2 R's are related to the brain, and 2 R's are related to the organ. And what are the R's? It's the root cause, which is what we find in the mind, the realization, routine, regime, review, and recovery. And these are all phases in this innate resource, the system that we all have built in. So might as well tap into it and help ourselves. Because I always if you think about it, when we go to doctors, they're a third party, not even a second party. Like, yourself or your body better than anybody. And the next person that would know would be your parents, right? But the doctor's then the third party. So we're going to actually a third party to tell us what we need to do. I mean, in certain cases, of course, certain diagnoses, I mean, you need the support of medicine and not that I'm saying anything, but you need to also be in control with your health alongside the conventional doctor and medicines.
But do you think people check in enough on themselves? And do you think people are in touch with themselves enough? No.
Just like anything, if you don't have the pain or the pain points, you're not going to go look for an answer, right? Yeah. And people don't even know. They're not even aware that their environment is the one that's causing all these challenges, from the mental, the physical, and the emotional aspects, which actually are the things that compound and lead you to what I call dis-ease, or the chronic conditions that we're familiar with.
One of my most important appointments every week is with I have a couple of coaches, but one of them is my self-development coach that focuses on my personal goals.
Yeah.
And it's been such a journey to discuss things about myself, how I feel, and what I can improve.
Absolutely.
And I've just noticed, the more I focus on this, the more time I spend, and the more I take this serious, how much more I become also satisfied in my life.
And happier.
And happier, exactly.
Yeah, and you grow faster. Look, I call it your wheel of wellness. What is wheel of wellness? So people think health and wellness are the same thing.
Yeah.
health is inclusive of wellness, but not exclusive of health, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do I mean by that? I mean, I call it a pizza pie, okay? We were just talking about pizza a little while ago. So the pizza pie, if there's one slice or that part of your life, something is on it, like, I don't want to get gross for your audience, but there's fungus or something on it. It's going to affect the whole, or ants, right, on one slice. It's going to go on the rest of the pie, right? So if we look at that, we don't have to overwhelm ourselves and complicate things for ourselves to understand what the root cause is. I mean, there's 9 areas in our life, right? There's the mental, the physical, the emotional, the financial, the relationship, and all of that, and career. All of that are part of our areas of our life. And if one thing is messed up, it's going to mess up everything, right? But what do we do as humans? We get overwhelmed, we get burned out trying to fix everything at the same time. But what we really need to do is to focus on that one area, that one slice, right? That is going to push the needle or have that ripple effect.
I 100% agree with that. I have, for example, a colleague of mine, he's doing fantastic. He's, very successful in his career, but he's lacking a lot of happiness, and this comes because he has not found a life partner yet. And I keep telling him, go find a nice life partner. It will really make you happy.
The package.
And people from the outside will be like, oh, you're doing well, blah blah blah, and you must be happy. But like you said, it's all these pillars,
right?
And they're all connected.
They are connected. Yes, absolutely. And even though he might be doing well financially, that will if he's not happy, it will again have that negative impact on his finances at one point or another. I agree with you. When you are in a good mood and you're connected with yourself, people pick up on that energy. Exactly.
So how do you're science-based, right? I'm also very much of the understanding of science-based. When I was growing up, I'm like, energy, what is this? I kind of put woo stuff.
Me too. When I was, when I was doing chemo, I was like,
and
just take the chemo, you'll be fine.
And more, I'm like, no, but the energy needs to match. And the energy this, I need to feel the energy. And I'm like, what is this? Am I becoming more nuts now that I'm becoming older? Or is there something there about the energy?
Absolutely. We're energy beings. Your skin is energy, right? We were just talking about eczema a little while ago. Eczema, when you have a broken, whether it was the acne that I had, the eczema, anything related to the broken skin is a broken connection, broken relationship. And that's how we from an emotional mindset level, the root cause. And if you fix that relationship, if you fix that broken relationship, you're actually going to fix the broken skin and the eczema. That's why when, with your environment, what we were talking about at the time, when you addressed that, your eczema went down because, when you fix what's broken or look, at the end of the day, your organ has a function. And if anything related to that function is affecting it emotionally or environmentally or mentally, it's going to have an effect, and it was going to break that function of that organ, whatever it's supposed to do, just like the skin. And like answering your question, energy, we're energetic beings. I mean, you do it every day. When you walk up to someone in a networking and you like,
yes, I
don't like that person, or I don't feel too good about that person, or he just doesn't vibe with me. What is that? That's energy. That's your skin picking up on the other person or sensing. How do you take your hand out of the fire, right? Before you're in, it's from that sensitivity, that energy.
Yes. I'm becoming more and more sensitive about it. Even people that I know quite well, either if they are friends or family, when something shifts in them, I'm like, okay, I need to. I'm like, okay, I'm not ready yet to step into that energy. When it's like down. And it will take from me. I rather go in there prepared.
Right.
And then or being caught off guard.
Right.
Because you deal with so many people, and you're also professional, need to have consultation. How do you preserve your energy And how do you make sure you recharge yourself to be back in the level that when you come home, you go to your family, that you have that you have protected yourself as well.
Right. So when I help or when I deal with clients, let's say, it's a framework, right? It's something that's I give. I'm not involved in that framework. I just take them through the framework, and whatever goes in energetically or traumatic or their story or their root cause, they're the ones who are putting that into the plate, into the framework.
Yeah.
But from myself, like with people, a lot of people talk about detox, right? Detox your body and have this and that.
It's a hot word right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's a buzzword. So you also need to detox your environment.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are like you, very nice. They don't like to, they like to please, right? Like to be nice,
like to be liked.
Like to be liked, right? So sometimes we give up our energy and our time and effort and our brain cells to other people when we need it for our own family, our own life, our own health and our own well-being, our own work, right? Yeah. So sometimes it's nice to say no. It's nice to be nice, but it's also nice to say no.
Yes, I had a gentleman that I had on my podcast. I said, "What's the most important thing that you need to do?" He said, "Learn how to say no." You need to know. And I was like, "But I was like, come on, what is that now?" And the more I think about it,
it's true.
Yeah, and the more deeper meaning there is to say no, because when you say no, you open up doors to say yes.
Exactly.
Full-hearted.
Exactly. Because look, when you say yes, yes, yes to the wrong people, you fill in your cup.
Yeah.
And when the opportunity comes that for a real yes, for yourself, for your career, for your family, the cup is full. So there's no room for that other yes.
Yeah.
So you have to always be emptying your cup to make room for the positive as well.
No, I definitely feel that. I mean, recently myself, now that I'm going through this journey, I'm learning how to say no and to protect certain things and to put lines. It's not easy.
But look at it this way, the first thing I in my mind when I take in a client or even a practitioner to get certified, I always go in the mindset, if it's not a win-win, then I don't want it. Yeah. If it's me just winning and them losing and not benefiting from this journey or the Healology or whatever it is, then I don't want it. Yeah. And if it's a lose-win and they win and I don't, there isn't an energy exchange, then I don't want it either, right? Yeah. So you always, when you leave it up to God, the universe, and have that little, my little prayer. Every time I go in to work with somebody, collaborate with somebody, anything, go even for an interview, whatever.
Even this right now.
Even right now, exactly. I go with this little prayer that if it's going to benefit both of us, if it's going to be a win-win, let it happen. Let it be. Yeah. And that always makes the energy exchange even, and no one's taken away from anyone else. Yeah. And it's balanced.
No, I like that. And how do you think that impacts people? Because you have the pillars again.
Yeah.
And people are maybe not always aware of where they are in their journey in their life.
Right.
And they're making decisions every day.
Right.
How often do you think people come to a realization later in their life that they have made maybe the wrong decisions?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, unless we fall or get into a pitfall, we don't realize that we're in the pitfall. I was reading a book, I forget the name, about a gentleman who worked in an ambulance. And he wrote about the last thoughts of everyone who's leaving this world, who's pretty much, dying. And it was always regret, right? It's either regret not saying sorry and losing a dear friend for a long, long time, not speaking to each other, regret for not doing that business or that project, regret for not being, saying I love you to, the wife every day, because you never know if it's the last day. Lots of regrets.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of leaving with regrets, do this now. And there's I think it's Napoleon Hill or Albert Einstein. The richest land in the world is the graveyard, because it's full of gold ideas.
Yeah.
Things that never came to the world and helped, the world. Imagine if Elon Musk or if, Bill Gates or any of them went, passed away with these ideas, where we would be today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think everybody should, build up the courage and, get rid of the self-doubt or I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, they could do it, I can't do it kind of mindset that we all have. We all have that little talk with ourselves all the time.
And that talk can be sometimes so strong, right?
Yes.
From culture, from your parents,
right?
From not having those encouragements.
Yep.
Like for example, I'm 100% sure that you encourage your children.
Yes.
You raise them with confidence.
Yes.
But there are children every day born in with families, unfortunately, that don't do the same.
Right.
And how can a child at that moment then grows up and hears, you're never good enough, you cannot become that, you cannot do this.
Right.
And then they are an adult.
Yeah.
They think a certain way.
Well, my kids don't like when Mom, don't Healology me.
Yeah, but it's so automatism.
Don't pull Healology on me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. But speaking of which, you just reminded me when I was growing up, why I'm always doing things, why I'm always a go-getter, why I'm on to the next thing. And
yes, what is it? Where's that coming from?
My father was very, he has 3 girls. Yeah. He passed away, and he always pushed us to be independent, right? Yeah. And I was the oldest, so I was the tomboy, right? Yeah. I was out there always playing, ball with him, or he was teaching me how to ride a bike. I could show you, I have the scars to prove it. Yeah. So I remember, like, I would say, "Oh, Dad, I got 80 on my exam," and he was like, "Hanan, why didn't you get 100?" Right? Yeah. He's always pushing me, or I'd go to him and I said, "Oh my God, Dad, I got second honors." And it's like, "Hanan, why didn't you get first honors?" Right? Yeah. So it's like, I have to always be striving for bigger, better things. I think that was instilled, but he was doing it for me to be confident and strong. But what ended up happening is me being very, it's not enough. I have to do more. Yeah. I have to do more. I have to do better. Yeah. Yeah.
And what a great father you had, because at that time, it was not for every
you get married
normal to be. They call it woke now. Yeah. But at that time, there was no word. It was just the job market was also different.
Yes.
Women had less chances, even less than they have today.
Yes.
And how good it was for him to believe so much.
Yes.
And to always see you here.
Yes.
While you maybe were thinking, "Oh, this is good enough."
Yes.
But for him, you were always the star.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, I was very adamant. Like, if I went for like the job in New York City, working at a big 350 bed hospital, big hospital in the heart of Manhattan, and really big names were working there, and I just went in like, I'm gonna get this. Like, I'm gonna get this. Of course, I'm gonna get this job. Yeah. So you walk in with this confidence, and you're ready and you're prepared. There's no saying, there's no rejection from, because the way I grew up is like rejection is failure, and sometimes rejection is a closed door waiting for another open door. I learned that the hard way, actually.
Yes, I agree with that, and I say a lot of times, and I don't mean this in this genuine way. This genuine way is that when I hear people around me that lose their jobs, or they don't get
the opportunity.
Yeah, the opportunity. I'm like, a door is closing, but another door is opening.
Absolutely.
And it's been said to me as well. And at that moment, they're like, "Yeah, but Jeff. But then something happens, and the door actually opens, and then something better comes.
Yes.
They're like, "Oh, I'm like, remember
Yes.
that conversation we had?
Exactly. Yeah, because if I always heard that never stay in the moment, whether it be a happy moment or a sad moment, more than 24 hours.
Yeah.
If you have a big win, celebrate, but don't last it more than 24 hours because that'll stop your growth.
Yeah.
You'll stop at that big win. You won't go on to other big wins.
Well, sometimes very big wins can be lasting more than 24 hours. So yeah, please sit down.
Okay, great. Can't believe we walked that long.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about one of your companies that
Yes.
focus on mental health.
Yes, yes.
Another topic where I think you are ahead of the curve,
Yes, yes.
specifically here in the region.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about what drove you to start this company and where you are at now in your journey?
So my journey's always been something happens, it's a spin-off to something else. Something, happens like growth-wise, and it's like when I had this Healology and I wrote a book about it, then, I spoke about it, globally. And then the next step for me was to actually, teach practitioners and get them certified in the system. And the next step was to have these practitioners or psychologists as well be on a platform that now could be a big group or a big community that could help others as well. And that's why I launched Tackle and Talk. So Tackle and Talk is a mental health and well-being platform where we're the only ones. I mean, there's a lot of mental health platforms out there, but we're the only ones that are holistic as well. It's always going to be holistic in the projects I work on. So not only do we have counselors and experts and a psychologist and a psychiatrist on our platform, but we also give a fitness as well as nutrition advice that is AI generated, or there's an algorithm that's catered to give you to your needs, or because at the beginning you do a survey and the platform takes in the data and then it generates for you or recommends for you the expert or the counselor, as well as it gives you the nutrition that you should be on, and as well as the fitness. Because like we just talked about, if we're just going to approach one thing, which is the mental health and well-being, without incorporating the holistic nutrition and exercise, for example, then we're really not really focusing on the whole person. We're not really going to get the lifelong results that we want for them.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing project you're working on. And I really hope people that are listening can connect with you about this, because
Thank you.
letting people talk
Yes.
about their problems
Yes.
helps people to reduce the stress and to start burnout,
Right.
jobs, companies,
Yes.
they don't see it, but there's some people walking with problems there. And so many countries already have made so much good progress on it.
Yes.
They get subsidies as well.
Yes.
But again, if you are in the first batch of the frontiers,
Yes.
you need to also help people understand
Right.
the benefits of this. But how are you doing so far? Because I believe you have some projects live right now running.
Yes, we're actually working with government entities. I cannot name who they are.
That's fine.
But for different departments and their workforce, because these government entities, they actually have. Their part of their job is very stressful. I mean, they see, without getting into details, they see traumatic events and things like that all the time. So the workforce needs to be, have an outlet, have a way that they could be able to be healthy and not take that home to their family as well. So we're working with the entity. Actually, we're working with a whole country as well. I won't name as well the country, but it's been in war for quite some time, and they're looking to support their soldiers who left the army with PTSD.
That's amazing.
Post-traumatic syndrome. So I see this being not only for one-to-one or clients or the public, but also for organizations and for governments, facilities to support people who serve them, serve their country as well. I think that for me is a big it's a big achievement for me to really be on this path and make that big of an impact.
Yeah, like PTSD people, that's low hanging fruit. That's like they need 100%. Like if you're asked to to represent your country and to protect it, and you see things and you come back, I think it's like it should be mandatory they have somebody to talk with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then there is this non-low hanging fruit.
Right.
Where people have misconceptions about, that's part of life, but how much more will these people benefit from talking to somebody instead of walking around with problems,
right,
which will lead to bigger problems,
right?
And how do you make sure in the program that they talk with people?
So I see. I have Gen Zs. My own kids are Gen Zs, so I see their issues. I see their problems, and I really am connected to the Gen Zers, if you will. These are my passion. These are the future, right? In the workforce and everything, and they have their own challenges. I mean, we millennials, well, I anyway, had our own challenges. But now with technologies and so many options and social media, and they're always on this timeline, right? They're always rushing to be, this person's doing, that, and they're millionaires at such a young age, at 20 years old, and they're always, trying to push themselves to do better, be better, and without slowing down, right? I always say you have to crawl before you walk, and you have to walk before you run, right? You have to take your time, and in that time also self-care is very, very important. If you want to get there faster and quicker, you have to take care of yourself as well and be more focused and have the energy to go the long run.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And Gen Z, millennials, I think they will all run into their unique problems as well. But there's just so many examples of people that did not talk with each other. I remember there's a video going on that is viral about a boxer just straight after he won. He said, I just heard that one of his best friends killed himself because he did not talk with anybody. And he said, please talk with people. Cry on my shoulders. I don't care if you're vulnerable, but at least you're still alive.
Yes, exactly.
And he was heartbroken that he was not able to, and I think that's then maybe a little bit of an extreme example, but it just...
No, it's not really that extreme. I used to do workshops all the time, pre-COVID, right? So at least one person sitting in the audience was suicidal. I wouldn't know it at that time, but later they would come to me and they say, you literally saved my life.
Wow.
You actually opened or gave me a lifeline. But from the darkness, they couldn't see it. They couldn't see any way out, but like there was a beam of light that they were able to see in the workshop. So that really, she was ready to, that one example was ready to go home after that workshop. But she came thinking, okay, let's give myself one more chance before she actually went ahead. And you would see her on the outside. She had an amazing career, a wonderful husband, a very, amazing, life. And she's always jogging. She's always exercising. She's fit. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like on the outside, you would never imagine that this person is actually suicidal, but what's actually happening on the inside is a whole different world, a whole different story.
And people cannot see that.
No.
And remember, there's this commercial that went viral about there were two supporters watching a match, and one was cheerful, and the other was sad and started to become
inward.
Inward. And then the person that was cheering and was happy was
Yeah.
the one that was suicidal.
Right. Right.
And people were shocked.
Yes. Exactly. I mean, my Robin Williams,
Yeah.
the funniest, one of my favorite
Yeah.
actors.
What
you know?
amazing movies he had.
Amazing movies.
I grew up watching these movies. These were one
Yeah.
of the few movies I was allowed to watch from my parents.
Mrs. Doubtfire, like
Yeah.
I watched that movie like 100 times
Yeah.
and still not sick of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's hysterical. Look at him. He had an amazing family, amazing wife, amazing life. But he was not enough. Even though everybody loved him across the world,
Yeah.
to him he was not enough.
Yeah.
You know, mental health is it's a real issue, and now UAE is now has a decree on it. They have also the Ministry of Happiness as well. All leading countries really realize that mental health is very, very important, especially in the workforce. Yeah.
Yes. And I also urge companies
Yes.
to please allocate some budget towards
Yes,
this.
absolutely,
You know,
yes.
because you can skip maybe once a year that drink party.
Right.
Have some outside advisors to allow them to talk.
Right.
I mean, what harm is it to try?
Right.
At least try it.
Yeah, unfortunately, they think they're doing it when they bring a coach or, a training like once every, 6 months. Or
It takes time to build trust
It is.
and to let people be
Yeah.
vulnerable.
And everybody's happy to have the training because they get away from work, right?
Yes.
And free lunch, right?
Yeah.
But no one's really serious about,
Yeah. And the jokers take over.
Yes, exactly. But
Yeah.
it is a process. And, getting to tap into that root cause and be able to make that shift, it takes several steps.
I have some companies that approached me. They said, would you do a seminar about debt? I said, do you understand that if I start to allow people to talk about their debt problems in front of the office, they
Right.
will never do that.
Right.
It needs to be one-on-one sessions.
Of course.
Where there's a safe space, and not that you see, oh, that person is walking in the door, or that person has some credit card problems or personal
Right.
loan problems.
Right.
That's not a safe space.
No.
A lot of companies were not willing to do that.
Right.
Okay, that's their choice. And the same thing with programs like you.
Right.
It should be a safe space for people to go.
Right.
And not feel like, oh, everybody thinks I'm having a problem right now.
Right.
Just create that
Yes.
opportunity for people
Yes.
to share.
That's why it's been very successful with Gen Zs, because they're about not walking. They're not the person who's going to walk into a doctor's office, a psychologist's office, and sit there, in the waiting room, right? They are going to go online and look for help, right? And they're going to find this, Tackle and Talk very convenient for them, as well as mothers. Mothers, we've seen, has been a huge part of our target audience, because they feel, okay, it's convenient, it's a safe space, it's at their own time, leisure. They put the kids away, bed to bed, and then they have this small time for themselves. They go on a session, they talk about their day, or they talk about their issues or health or mental health issues that they want to tackle, right? So it's cost effective. It's convenient, and it's also a safe space. That's exactly why it's part of the success of Tackle and Talk. Yes.
Yeah. So I've asked you on different topics things. What is something that I have not asked you? What is on your to-do list of something you want to share with the audience?
Well, I'm going to be having actually a boot camp,
Okay.
an open boot camp for anyone who wants to jump in and join this mental health and well-being. It's called Psychology Wellness Boot Camp. That's going to be happening in beginning of January, because everybody's going to be ready, thinking about, I need a new, mindset, a new body. I want to bring in the new year with a bang, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
somehow always at the start of the new year.
Yeah, by February, the gym membership is
already plummeted.
Right? No, but this is actually going to take you through all the steps, all the process, so that someone who's sitting in my workshop could actually get that help, lifeline, if you will, to get them out of being stuck in their head, in their world, or if they're having depression or something. Because I really, really want to help the community, and I want to, pay it back, especially Dubai. I love Dubai. I've been here for so many years. I was supposed to be here for 2 years, but like everybody else, they've been here for many, many years because they can't just leave it. Yeah. And so look out for the boot camp that's going to be happening.
In person or digital?
Virtual.
Virtually?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many days is it?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Okay.
It takes that long, but it's not going to be.
It's progress.
Progress, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But people love it. My practitioners are like, "Oh my God, this should be like in the hands of so many people." I was like, "Yeah, well, I'm getting there.
I'm trying.
I'm getting
trying.
there. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, they could look out for that. Yeah.
Okay. So if you're interested,
Yeah, go to Healology. Actually, www.healology.me. And the boot camp will be in one of the tabs there.
Well, what a wonderful way to end this conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr.
After
Hanan.
seeing you such a long time,
Yes.
it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
And please come back
I will,
in some
for
time,
sure.
and then I would love to hear the progress you're making.
Thank you. And you're doing amazing yourself.
Thank you.
Congratulations for you. Wow,
Thank
we've
you.
come a long way since
Yes.
2017,
Yes,
right?
we did.
Yes, amazing.
And you still look young.
Yeah, I'm trying anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.